What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. And this time we're taking a look at Son of Dracula, the third installment into Universal's Dracula trilogy of movies. Uh, this movie takes place after the events of Dracula and Dracula's daughter and tells the story of Dracula's son, Count Alucard, making his way to the States and pretty much terrorizing the United States of America. Um, Okay, so I think when compared to Dracula's Daughter, I think Son of Dracula is actually a pretty weak movie. I didn't really care for this movie. I thought it was actually kind of boring, to be honest with you. Now, that's not to say this movie is an utter failure. It's okay in certain areas. It's got some good acting all around. It's got some good production value. But overall, I think the story behind this movie is just extraordinarily weak. To say that there's not really much of a story. Count Alucard comes to the U.S. He hypnotizes this woman named Kay, makes her his bride, and they take over this plantation known as Dark Oaks. While all the while, Kay's boyfriend named Frank is trying to save her and stop Alucard. That's pretty much the overall basic premise of this movie. It's not really anything all that interesting. So let's just break it down. The cast in this movie is pretty good. Lon Chaney Jr., who is known for playing the Wolfman, plays Count Alucard in this movie, and I like Lon Chaney Jr. He's one of my favorite actors when it comes to the classic Universal Monsters line. I love the Wolfman, and I enjoyed his performance as Count Alucard. I thought he did an okay job. He has a physically imposing presence to him. Chaney being 6'2", so he kind of towers over a lot of people. There's actually this one cool shot where Kay's laying down on the bed, and you have one character standing next to Chaney, and you can clearly tell the size difference of Lon Chaney. He kind of towers over these people as this illuminating force. That's actually a pretty cool shot in the movie. And as a performance wise, I thought Chaney did a decent job playing Count Alucard. I thought he was fine. The supporting cast around him, they're all okay in their roles too. The actress who plays Kay is okay, though I think she's bland in a lot of areas. Evelyn Ankers makes an appearance as this movie as the character called Claire, who's the sister of Kay. She doesn't do much. She's in a couple of scenes. That's pretty much it. The actor who plays Frank, he was fine as our lead hero type guy, so he's okay. If anything, the secondary character of Brewster is probably the only supporting character I kind of like because he's the one who's pretty much on to Alucard from the start of the movie. So I think he's a pretty interesting character. And he calls upon this Transylvanian professor to kind of get knowledge on Dracula. I don't know why this character couldn't have been Professor Van Helsing since he's already established until now it doesn't the Dracula and Dracula's daughter never specified as to what decade those movies took place in. But according to this movie, those movies took place in the 19th century. So yeah, they're long past deceased, I guess. I don't know why you just didn't set it in the time that they were made. To be honest with you, and just bring back Van Helsing because he's already an established character. He has a history with the Dracula bloodline. It makes more sense, or at least have the professor that Brewster talks to be a descendant of Van Helsing. Just give me some reason to have this character just not some random character who's just shoehorned into this movie. Because he has a knowledge of Dracula and the Transylvania and the vampire lore, so it would have been made more sense if he had like a Van Helsing bloodline. Instead, he's just completely made up, and I don't really care for him because he doesn't really appear until like the last half of the movie. You see him in the opening of the movie a little bit, and then you don't see him until the last half of the movie where he doesn't really do much except spout stuff. That's pretty much it. I think directing wise, Robert Siodmak did an okay job directing this movie. This movie has the feel of people who just did this movie out of a forced obligation. This movie does not feel natural whatsoever at all. It feels like everyone is just here for a paycheck. They're just doing the job, and that's pretty much it. This movie does not have like an organic feeling to it. And that's a shame because you don't want to watch a movie that doesn't feel organic. And Son of Dracula just doesn't feel organic. Though, even though it feels like they're working for a paycheck, I think everyone is they're doing an okay job. Directing wise, Robert Siodmak doesn't do anything horrendous, but he doesn't do anything creative, but he doesn't do anything bad either. It's a well shot movie. It looks good for what it is. you do get a couple of pretty cool shots here and there. And this movie is the first to feature a vampire turning into a bat. So that's a pretty cool. That's pretty cool to tip your hat to. So yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts of Son of Dracula. I think I like Dracula's daughter much better. I think that had a better villain and just a better story overall compared to this. So with that being said, I'm gonna give Son of Dracula. You know, I don't want to, but I'm going to give Son of Dracula a 4 out of 10. I think this is the weakest of the 3 standalone Dracula movies. I like Lon Chaney Jr., but he doesn't do, but this movie does not have enough of Count Alucard, to be honest with you. The story to this movie is really, really weak compared to the first 2 movies, and it just is poorly paced. This movie seems to drag on for an eternity. It really takes a long time to get going, and then it just ends abruptly, to me at least. So yeah, 4 out of 10 for Son of Dracula. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.